Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be going through how to make simple, deep, dark, beautiful piano loops in FL Studio. I hope you're excited. Let's get into it. So I made this loop today. It is probably my favorite loop I've ever made. I started off with a piano and I created these chords. Check it out. So this follows a 1-6-3-7 chord progression. However, the chords are not as they seem. So we're gonna go through one by one. The first chord is a regular E minor chord. Sounds like that with the inverted third. However, when we move to the sixth, which is generally a C major chord, we've kept the fifth being the B. We've changed the root obviously to the C note. And we've removed the third to just generate a little bit of variance in the 8-bar loop. We'll get back to that in a minute. So we go E minor, C major with the B as the fifth, and then we move up to a G major, and then finally to this funny looking chord that isn't actually a D minor. I'm not sure of the proper chord term or name. I think it's actually a D major that's been pitched up, like the third's been pitched up a 7 tone. And an octave obviously, but yeah, that's basically the chords. And then this is copied over once again. However, I've actually used the third here, pitched up here, the G. This is the same chord as this one, and this is the same chord as this. However, in the second half, it's cut here, and this is moved down to the F sharp. So that's really basic how to make this chord progression. Once again, it's a 1-6-3-7 progression. You can use this in any scale, and it's gonna sound very nice, very nice. So give it a go if you haven't already. So that were the basic chords. Moving on, the next thing I did is I took the chords, and with this first note, I heard this little melody where it goes from the G to the F sharp, and then when it goes up to the B, it comes down to A and then back to the G like a waterfall. And we've also added in a couple of bass notes to make it a little bit thicker because I actually pitched the whole thing up an octave. So take a listen to what this sounds like. Super simple. Just added a few things since the first pattern, keeping it very bare bones, very raw and I don't know if traditional is the right word, but definitely raw. Raw is a good word. And then from there, we took it up even a step further for the chorus. We double timed the top line, and we've come down here and we've created some arpeggiations in the lower registers just to give it a little bit of movement. Basically, I tried to use similar notes to what are already in the chords above, but I wanted it to sound right. So, without further ado, I'm just gonna play it. Just beautiful. So for the processing on these keys, they're all rated to the same mixer track. I've got just a high pass EQ to cut out the lows of the lows. And I've got a simple fruity reverb with the stereo separation turned up, not to 100%, but the size up to 100% and a little bit of wet. The wet's at 54% right now. So yeah, that's that. And also I have a halftime. I half-timed the second version because I thought that's what sounded best for the intro, and this is what that sounds like. Beautiful, beautiful. Builds up a lot of ambience, a lot of emotion, a lot of intrigue in the beginning. I really, really like it. I guess the next thing we can move on to is I have two basses. Originally, I got this OG bass. This is from Kyle Galaxy's one-shot kit. Sounds like this. Now, I put this to follow the root notes, obviously, of the chord progression. I'm going to play this right now, and then I'm going to tell you the issue I found with it. Check it out. Now, I like the attack. I like the distortion, but I just didn't think there was quite enough sub bass in there. Now, you know me, I'm a sucker for sub bass. You can't get enough of it. Well, actually you can, but to a degree, you need a lot of sub bass. I want this to rattle the windows out of my car when I play it. So I added a sub bass. This is bass 6. I found it in a one-shot pack. It's just purely a sub bass. I'm pretty sure you won't hear this on if you're not listening on headphones or a certain speaker, but this is what it sounds like. Gives it a lot more body, a lot more energy, a lot more emotion. So I actually EQ'd both of these. I high passed the OG bass because the sub-frequencies it wasn't putting out were minimal anyway. And I low passed this sub bass with a narrow band so that I just got the sub-frequencies so that I could play these at the same time and they wouldn't clash and it wouldn't sound muddy as hell. So together, this is what that sounds like. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to turn these on at the same time. And while it's playing, I'm actually going to turn the sub bass on and off so you can listen to the difference. All right, here we go. The difference is just night and day, ladies and gentlemen. It's just night and day. So at this point, I just had the pianos and I just had the sub bass. I wanted to keep it simple, but I wanted to add something else. So you know me, I added vocal chops from Arcade. So very, very simple. Couldn't really get much simpler pattern from Arcade here. I used the Still Got Time pack. It's in E minor, obviously. And it plays this pattern. Also, I pitched it up an octave. So it's an octave higher than it usually is. This is what it sounds like on its own.
I need you. Oh, 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 oh.
Beautiful. So for the processing on that, I had a parametric EQ to cut out the lows of the lows and the highs of the highs to give it a little bit of an underwater sound. And I put on this Valhalla Supermassive massive reverb. It's in the massive category. It's called 60% of infinity, and these are the settings that I've used. I want it to be a big washy reverb, but I also don't want it to be too long and too big, you know? I don't want it to be too big. I want the same reverb, but I don't want it absolutely huge. So that's that. And finally, I put a halftime on it because I wanted it to be a little bit slower for different sections of the song. So I'll play it with and without halftime in the context of the track, and you'll see what I mean. But for now, without halftime, this is what it sounds like with the EQ and reverb. In my opinion, it makes it so much better. It fits in the track a lot better too, which you'll see in a second. So finally for the mixing, I routed all the keys in the arcades to a separate send bus track. I put Ozone Imager 2 up the stereo width a little bit just to give it a little more dynamic, not dynamic, a little bit more width, a little bit more immersion. I just popped a little bit of fresh air on the master and soft clipper just in case it was clipping. But apart from that, that's all we have for the processing. So for the arrangement here, like I said before, I had the halftime in the intro just to set the tone. And then we build up with just the original chords, the sub bass, and the un-halftime. So the original arcade with the EQ and the reverb, obviously. And then we build up into the pre-hook with the second instance of the keys. And then it has both the basses, so it's much fuller. And then once we get into the hook, we've got the third set of keys with everything going on. We've got both the normal and the halftime arcade and both the basses. So it sounds really full of emotion. Just get you going, you know? So I'm gonna go ahead and play this half-timed vocal so you can hear it. And then I'm gonna play it, the hook, with everything so you can hear the context and how they all mesh together. And this is the hook. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then we come down again into the verse. We have the second keys with just the halftime arcade vocals. It sounds like this. And then I'm sort of imagining it building back up into this pre-hook here. So it's going to go into the halftime keys again. It's got the halftime arcade as well, and a sub bass coming back in, and it sounds like this. Beautiful. And that's how you make that loop. I hope you enjoyed. This is probably my favorite loop I've made recently thus far, whatever you want to say, but that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, like the video, subscribe if you want to see more content, hit the bell notification to be notified next time I post a video, and that's going to be it from me today. I hope you're well wherever you're watching from in the world. I love you all. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you.